Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and welcome to this month's Trans Life video. This month being February 2023. Every month I do at least one video where I just talk about how my life is going as a trans woman, maybe give an HRT update, maybe talk about general topics related to the trans community, etc., etc. This month, the focus is going to be an anniversary, my 2.5-year anniversary on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. So that actually happened a few weeks ago now. It was February 4th would be my 2.5-year anniversary. I wonder at what point I'm going to stop keeping track of these anniversaries. Like, when does it not matter anymore? I think that pretty soon I will probably at least stop with the half-year anniversaries, not care about that, at least by the time I get to 5 years, I think. Maybe once I get to 5 years, I won't even recognize it every year. I'll just like go 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. Every 5 years or so, I'll go, oh, hey, it's an anniversary, it's a landmark. But for now, I am kind of still keeping track of like every half year because this is still relatively new for me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how it's going, and then I am going to talk about an entirely different anniversary that is also taking place right now and is also related to my transition, but is not related to my HRT. So there's actually 2 anniversaries happening. For that second one, you will have to wait and see what that is. What a teaser. You just can't wait, can you? You're dying to know. Anyways, so first, kind of want to talk about my state of mind now here, 2.5 years into my transition. Okay, so in talking about being on HRT for 2.5 years. At this point, I'm talking about my emotional and mental state and just generally how I'm fitting into the world, how I'm finding my place in the world, how I'm finding myself, those sorts of things. Because when it comes to the physical aspects of HRT, at this point in the game, nothing should change really. You're pretty much, for the most part, going to be where you're going to be when it comes to the physical effects of the hormones that you put into your body. The only thing that I might give an update on is when there's medication changes and then things start affecting my body differently and things like that, which did happen recently, and I did talk about that in previous videos. But at this point, it's not really the case anymore. So the focus is just kind of on how I'm doing and kind of a more, introspective, perhaps philosophical look at the world from the view of a trans woman. So I think I am still really finding my footing and really finding where and how I fit in as a woman, as a trans woman, and as a queer person. Those are 3 separate and interrelated things. I am all 3 of those things. Now, as far as being a woman, I very much am. Now, this is where the TERFs out there, if they happen to click on this video, will lose their shit because there's this misperception that is perpetuated is the word I'm looking for, by TERFs and transphobes, that us trans women are saying that we are the equivalent of cis women. In fact, I got into a back and forth with somebody who made a comment on one of my videos last year, and then I made another video talking about it, so you'll have to go back and look at my previous videos to see more details, but it's a thing. It's a thing that I've seen where TERFs or transphobes think that we are saying we are the same as cis women and calling us mentally ill, because obviously you're not the same as a cis woman. Obviously we're not. Nobody is actually saying that. That's a straw man argument. No one is saying that we are the same thing as a cis woman. What we are saying mostly, what I am saying in particular, is that cis women and trans women are both different types of women, but we all fall under the umbrella category of women. So if you picture, I probably should have just posted this on the screen for you guys to see, but I'm too lazy to put this together. But picture a diagram like one of those like family tree type diagrams. Up top on the box up top, it will say women, and then there's two little branches coming out from it. One is trans women and one is cis women. We are both in that. We are both connected to that greater category of women, but we're in separate little boxes over here because you do have to acknowledge the very obvious differences. There's the biological differences and the differences in life experience. And both of those things are really important. As trans women, it depends on how late in life we transitioned, but we did spend a portion of our life existing as a man, and that is going to change our point of view on things and give us a different experience, something that a cis woman would never have. Now there's the biological differences. That goes without saying. That's what the TERFs like to really point to and say, you're insane because you think you have the same as that. No, nobody is saying that. I know I can't get pregnant. I know I don't bleed every month. That doesn't make me not a woman. It just makes me a different kind of woman. And it's a shame that there are so many TERFs out there, because honestly, I really just wish that all cis women and trans women could get together and talk and talk about their common experiences, because I have found this to be a very valuable experience for me. In the last 2.5 years, I have grown some really strong bonds and wonderful friendships with my cis female friends, many of whom I knew before I transitioned, but we just didn't connect in the same way. Some of whom I've met since then. But I have found that it's been especially enriching for me to share our perspectives on our commonalities, because now switching to a different type of diagram, if you want to do the Venn diagram with the two circles, everybody knows what a Venn diagram is, right? In the middle of that Venn diagram where there's connectedness between the two categories, cis women and trans women, there's actually a lot in there. And although I don't have, the biology that a cis woman has, I am taking the hormones that are in their body. So our hormonal effects, I have found through conversations, is very similar, if not exactly the same in some cases. But there's a difference in perspective. So for a cis woman my age, I'm in my late 40s, that's all they've known for their whole life. That's just how their body has always been. That's how the hormones have always interacted with their body. That's how their emotional state has always been a certain way. That's the only thing they know. Whereas me, as a trans woman, I have something to compare it to because I have lived a different experience. So I can compare and contrast. And I've talked to some cis women who find that perspective really interesting. And I find their perspective really interesting as well, because it helps me to kind of figure out how to exist in this world as a woman, because it's something that I didn't have to do before. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of sharing of experience and perspective that I find really beneficial and extraordinarily fulfilling. So that's why TERFs make me so sad, because I just wish all cis women and trans women could do that and connect through their common experiences and their differences, and sharing perspectives, the different ways that we each view the world based on our vastly different experiences, but at the same time connecting through our common experiences. Anyways, so that's what I've been doing as far as finding my place as a woman in this world, and I'm still in the process of doing that. Now there's the portion of it of specifically finding myself as a trans woman in this world, and I've said this in previous videos. I kind of live in a little bubble here in Portland where very rarely do I get treated vastly differently from other people, because there's just so many, not only queer people, but just freaks and weirdos of all varieties that are outside of the mainstream, outside of the norm, that anything that's considered outside of the norm is, people just don't bat an eye at anymore. So it's just I have a different experience than people who live in other places, I think. But at the same time, I still feel myself very connected to the trans experience as a whole. And it really does feel like a stab in the chest anytime I hear about trans people being having their rights taken away, or trans people being murdered. There was a murder that happened recently that I read about, and it just gives me this dark feeling deep in my gut. And it's not just because, I'm afraid, that's something that could happen to me very realistically, but also the thought of someone who has the shared experience that I have, has went through similar things and has that shared experience that these awful things have happened to them or are happening to them. So even when those awful things don't happen to me personally, which, I do have, I get misgendered, I get people being, assholes to me, I get people to treat me poorly every once in a while. But even when those things aren't happening to me, just knowing that those things are happening to people who share my experience, I feel it. I really feel it deep inside. So, that is just kind of hard, and then at the same time, checking my privilege, realizing that although, I am on the one hand learning to exist as an oppressed group of people, but also that I'm still white, so I still have that white privilege. My experience as being in an oppressed group of people is not the same as a black person's experienced, and in fact, a black trans person has an even different experience than that. So kind of realizing that I, still have that privilege, but also recognizing the privilege that I've lost as a trans woman. Going from a cis male to a trans woman, you've given up a certain amount of privilege, and yet you still maintain it because you're white, or I am personally. I'm not talking about black trans women. I'm talking about myself personally. So kind of just continuing to muck through all of that, sort through all of that, is just it's a process. It is still a process, and there's not ever going to be necessarily an end to that. There's no I don't anticipate an end point where I'm okay, I am now just a trans woman and everything is wonderful and the world is great. And I may get a little more used to and understand a little more how to maneuver around, but there's no really clear endpoint to that. It's just life as a trans woman. Now there's the fact that there's being a queer person, being a part of that LGBTQ equation. If you put the Q in there, then I'm 3 of those 5 letters in that acronym. Actually, some people still take the Q off. LGBT, I'm 2 of those. And I never thought of myself as a part of that LGBTQ community before. Like, I had to convince myself that I wasn't out of fear. So now I'm getting used to the fact that I am very much, I've got 2 of those letters. So I've got the T for trans and the B for bisexual. So I'm very much a part of that. And 2.5 years later, I think I've come a long way, but I still am kind of feeling my way around and like trying to find where I fit in as an LGBTQ individual after 46 years thinking that I wasn't. So that too is a process. So it's all 3 of these things, like I said, 3 different things. That I am a woman, trans woman, and a queer person, like interconnected yet separate. So that is my philosophical talk for this evening. Now I will get to what I teased at the beginning of this video, the other anniversary that I'm celebrating here in February 2023. Okay, all right. So the other anniversary, actually it is today, on the day that I'm recording this video. Not the day that the video will be released, because I like to release these videos on Fridays and I tend to record them a few days before that. But on the date that I'm recording this video, which is February 20th, this is the exact 2-year anniversary of the day that I ditched the wigs and got my first haircut as a woman, woman-styled haircut, whatever you want to call it. I know that some people will say, well, there's no such thing as a woman's haircut and a man's haircut. It's just, it's all societal bullshit. Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. It's the first haircut that I got that fits my feminine self, that I felt like me. So I also got my hair colored, my hair dyed for the first time too. I have since changed it several times. I actually had that permanent color, which was red, for about a year, and then I started experimenting with the semi-permanent colors. And you can see my, transition timeline and see all the different colors that I do. But, so now I've actually settled into another permanent color. When you say permanent, it doesn't mean that I'll have this for the rest of my life. It just means the dye is, permanent in that it just won't come out. It won't fade off. Like a semi-permanent, I had to reapply every 6 weeks or so. But anyways, so 2 years ago today, I got my first haircut and hair dye as a woman, and I will show you pictures right here. They're in my first transition timeline. They're not in my second transition timeline, so, or maybe they were. I don't remember. Anyways, here's a picture. So I'm kind of embarrassed by this now. Like, I think I'm hideously ugly at this point, but we're all our own worst critic. I think mostly because I'm bald. I feel like you can see my receding hairline. Although I'll be honest, like, my brother did actually make me feel a little bit better around this time, because he told me that I look like my Aunt Helene. So at this time when I'm still like struggling with my confidence, being told that I look like a cis woman, I'm not gonna lie, like helped my confidence and made me realize, okay, I never thought Aunt Helene was really ugly, so maybe I'm not that ugly after all. So, and my Aunt Helene, by the way, is not blood related to me at all. She's actually just a woman who married my dad's brother, so we don't share any genetics. But my brother was right. I did kind of look like her in this picture. Though this style right here fits me more, so suits me. Like, I wanted my hair to be longer. My hair does drive me crazy sometimes, though. Like, it's really hard. I wish it would decide whether it just wants to be straight or wavy. Like, honestly, and to get it to be one or the other takes work. So yeah, I don't know. I wish I could just, poof, here's my hair, and like do nothing, and it just is perfect. Don't we all wish that? See, that's the thing, when you're a man, like, you keep your hair short, you don't gotta do much to it. But then again, when I was a man, my hair was boring. So this is much more suitable for me. Anyways, so that's the other anniversary. February 20th, 2021, my first haircut as a woman. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching me ramble on for 20 minutes or so. Please join me next month. I don't know what the topic will be next month. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But I do like to just kind of veer away from my usual, Star Trek and Star Wars type stuff at least once a month and talk about me as a trans woman. All right, I will see you then, and please subscribe. Please subscribe if you have not already. Have a good one, everyone. See you soon.